have, not unusually, a lot of issues today as we try to move these two matters forward. We have a business meeting where we have a number of nominations to consider, but we have arcane rules as to how we have to do that and who has to be in the room, and that those rules are not met at this moment. So what I'm going to do is the other item on the business this morning is nominations hearing for a number of very good nominees that the president has given to us. And the way we always start those is we have introductions. And so we will do that, and then we'll proceed through that hearing. And when I get the right number in the room, we're going to take a break, and you can stay right where you are, and it won't take us but a few minutes to run through getting the noms to the floor. But in any event, that's where we are. And we have some of our colleagues here that are very busy, including Senator Collins, who's always up to her elbows in budgeting matters and leads us faithfully in that regard. So, Senator Collins, I am going to give you the floor for an introduction.
Thank you very much, Chairman Risch and members of the committee. I am delighted to appear before you today to introduce Caleb Orr and to recommend his nomination to become Assistant Secretary of State for Economic and Business Affairs. A native of Texas, Caleb received his BA from Abilene Christian University before coming to Washington to serve on the staff of then-Senator Marco Rubio 10 years ago. He received his JD from Georgetown University Law Center in 2023 and worked in private practice for the late Ambassador C. Boyden Gray. He was serving as a judicial law clerk for the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Houston before being called back to Washington earlier this year. He and his wife, Gabby, have two young daughters, Poppy and Lily. I just met Poppy, who is behind us. I want to tell you a bit about how I got to know Caleb. It was back in 2020, at the height of the COVID crisis, when I was working around the clock with then Senator Marco Rubio, along with the ranking member of this committee, Senator Shaheen, and former Senator Ben Cardin. We crafted the small business relief package known as the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP. That bipartisan program was signed into law as part of the CARES Act on March 27, 2020, and within 3 weeks, using the private sector, had distributed $342 billion in crucial economic aid to help nearly 1.7 million small businesses meet payroll and avoid shutting their doors. Over the full life of the program, the PPP provided nearly 43,000 forgivable loans in my home state of Maine. As the Deputy Staff Director of the Small Business Committee, Caleb played an absolutely essential role in creating, crafting, and implementing this crucial lifeline. We were talking before the hearing about the 2 a.m. calls that he had with the council on my staff, and that is no exaggeration. He literally worked night and day to address countless complex issues that had to be resolved to stand up this program in a rapidly changing pandemic environment. That same attentiveness will be required of him as Assistant Secretary, where he will be responsible for helping American businesses navigate the many challenges they face every day across the globe, advocating for their interests both within our government and abroad. I am confident that Caleb is not only up to the task, but also will bring the same creativity, energy, commitment, and hard work to the State Department's Economic Bureau that he did in helping to manage small business relief during the pandemic. It is thus my great pleasure to introduce Caleb Orr to you today and to recommend to this committee positive consideration of his nomination as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Collins, and certainly credit to you and everyone who worked on the PPP program. Probably one of the most impactful things that's happened to American citizens over recent years with the difficulties we had. So thank you for your work. I know you're busy on other matters, so we will excuse you. You're welcome to stay if you'd like, but I know the answer to that question. So
only because I have 3 hearings going on at once.
Don't we all?
I know. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Senator Collins. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome to all of the nominees and an excellent slate of ambassadorial nominees and friends. I have the honor of introducing someone I've known for a long time, a fellow Texan and a friend, Ken Howry. Ken embodies the spirit of Texas: hard work, genuine hospitality, and fierce leadership. He excelled at Stanford, where he earned a degree in economics, but was also managing editor of the Stanford Review. He graduated from Stanford in 1998, and that same year began a career of innovation and investment that literally transformed the financial world when he helped found and run PayPal. Over the years, Ken has been recognized for his success and vision. He's served on the boardrooms of venture capital firms, he's held leadership positions in various companies, and he's operated at the highest and most respected levels of diplomacy. And throughout all that time, parallel to his financial and corporate success, Ken has been devoted to public life and service. In college, he interned in Washington for my predecessor, Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, in the speechwriting department. That passion has extended into his diplomatic work. From 2019 to 2021, he served as ambassador to Sweden. He worked to advance our national security interests and to push Sweden to insulate its telecom networks from Chinese malign activities. He helped implement the Trump administration's burden-sharing strategy, contributing to Sweden's historic 40% increase in defense spending. And he championed American businesses, encouraging trade and innovation and investment between the two countries. Ken is a strong leader with a clear-eyed understanding of diplomacy, strategy, and partnership. And he's exceptionally well qualified to serve as our next ambassador to Denmark. There are real challenges in our friendship with Denmark, including, of course, the President's stated interest in acquiring Greenland, which will make this appointment critical to the future of this country. And I have every confidence that Ken has the integrity, the experience, the vision to strengthen our relationship with this important ally and to navigate these complicated and incredibly important issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cruz. Senator Cornyn, I understand you might have something to add to this.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for scheduling hearing for 2 Texans, Mr. Orr and Mr. Howry. It's a pleasure to join my colleague, Senator Cruz, in saying a few nice words about Ken Howry. And I won't repeat everything he said, but I think it's fair to conclude that Mr. Howry is a super achiever. He's done a lot in his short life. But the things that I have been most impressed about is his prior service in Sweden, back at a time when the administration was trying to persuade other countries not to adopt Huawei technology because it essentially was a way to spy on those countries by the PRC and Chinese Communist Party. He was successful in getting them to ban those technologies. That's a big deal. I remember Ken telling me at lunch last May about some of the challenges he had helping the Swedes navigate during COVID, from reopening their society after the lockdown to addressing some of the vulnerability of the supply chains. I have no doubt that his background and experience will serve him well and serve our country well in Denmark as the U.S. and our partners around the globe continue to navigate evolving threats with technology and national security. I am confident he will represent our interests on the world stage. So, Ken, congratulations to you and your family on this nomination. I look forward to voting for your nomination in committee and on the floor, and I'd encourage all of my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cornyn. Senator Scott, I understand you have a couple of introductions here. Is that right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, it is an honor to sit before you today to introduce a fellow Floridian and my friend, Ambassador Callista Gingrich, to this committee. I'd also like to recognize Callista's husband, another Florida resident, Speaker Newt Gingrich, who is here today. In nominating another Floridian to his administration, President Trump made an excellent choice in Callista to serve as ambassador to Switzerland. She proudly served as the United States ambassador to the Holy See during President Trump's first term. It would be exciting to be there today to watch what they do. During her time in that role, she worked to combat human trafficking, provide humanitarian assistance, and support the administration's efforts on the global scale. In 2019, Ambassador Gingrich received the Sue M. Cobb Award, one of the highest recognitions at the State Department for exemplary diplomatic service. And in 2020, she received the title Dame Grande Cross of the Order of Pope Pius IX by Pope Francis, the highest distinction given by the Holy See to laypersons, in recognition of her contributions to the Catholic Church and society. President Trump chose a leader who can deliver for Americans and for the great men and women of our diplomatic service who are stationed in Switzerland. I am confident that her skills, character, and expertise will make her an effective ambassador to Switzerland, and I look forward to hearing from her today on her vision for U.S.-Switzerland relations and how she plans to advance President Trump's agenda. Together with President Trump and Secretary Rubio, I am confident she will help restore peace through strength and stand for America's best interests. She has my complete support, and I urge my colleagues to advance her nomination very quickly. Now let me go on to my second nomination. Congratulations, by the way. It's an honor to sit before you to also introduce Summers Farcus to this committee. I'd also like to recognize her husband, Jonathan, who is here supporting her today. President Trump made an excellent choice in Summers to serve as ambassador to Malta. Summers is highly recognized for philanthropic efforts and success in business. She is appointed by President Trump to the President's Commission on White House Fellowships and Commission on Presidential Scholars and serves as a trustee of the New York City Police Foundation, chairman of the Nominating Committee, and member of the Executive Committee. She is also an honorary battalion chief of the Fire Department of the City of New York and advises the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Foundation and Broward Sheriff's Advisory Council. President Trump chose a leader who can deliver for Americans and for the great men and women of the diplomatic service who are stationed in Malta. I am confident that her skills, character, and expertise will make her an effective ambassador to Malta. I look forward to hearing from her today on her vision for U.S.-Malta relations and how she plans to advance President Trump's agenda. I know with President Trump and Secretary Rubio, she will help restore peace through strength and stand for America's best interests. She has my complete support, and I urge my colleagues to advance her nomination, and hopefully we can get all these individuals vote on the floor very quickly. Congratulations.
Thank you, Senator Scott. We appreciate that. And now I'm going to recognize Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my great honor and pleasure to be here today to introduce my friend, Mr. Lee Rudo, who's been nominated to the important position of serving as U.S. Ambassador to the Organization of American States. Mr. Rudo comes to us with a wealth of experience and background that make him exceptionally well qualified for this task. For 3 decades, he led the Conair Corporation, serving in a number of senior management and marketing roles and running the entire enterprise ultimately. Look, most households in America own at least one Conair product, and I think it's fair if we were to place a bet on how many people in this room have at one point or another used a Conair product. I would say it's a solid majority, probably a supermajority. That alone speaks to Mr. Rizzuto's talents and to the abilities that he'll bring to this task as an innovator, as a builder. He's someone who, having been involved in manufacturing for many, many decades, is always looking for defects to be corrected. improvements to be made, and weak points to be identified and made smooth and turned into strengths. Aside from his business experience, Mr. Rizzuto has also served our government abroad. During the previous Trump administration, he very capably served as the U.S. Consul General in Bermuda, where on day one, he started going back to bat for the American citizens and worked tirelessly on behalf of American interests. And he continued the same tendency that he learned as an executive in the manufacturing business to identify defects and weak spots. He started seeing problems right away when he got down there. There were problems with various contracts that had been entered into. The mail wasn't getting there. He went in and much more than anyone else in his position would otherwise be inclined to do. He had that thing figured out in about 6 minutes. I'm sure it took longer than that, but to the rest of the world, by comparison, it seemed like 6 minutes, especially during COVID when the whole world was being turned upside down. I have no doubt that those skills will prove especially useful within the Organization of American States. When President Monroe gifted us his eponymous doctrine, a doctrine that bears his name, he recognized something that's still very true today, that the Western Hemisphere and the neighbors we have here, the protective oceans we have to our east and to our west, put us in a unique place in the world, and it makes the Western Hemisphere uniquely important. The Organization of American States gives us the opportunity to be heard in a forum where we can hear from other nations that are of such great importance to us. Can't think of anyone in whom I would have greater confidence in this role than my friend Lee Rudo, who's here with his wife Denise, who will serve as an especially strong and faithful and capable companion to him in that role. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator Lee. And again, I ask everybody to be patient with us. And it may look like we're a little disorganized, but we do have two different hearings going on at the same time. Ordinarily, Senator Shaheen, the ranking member, is here. But again, she has a commitment in another meeting. But we're going to get enough people here to vote before too long. And we'll interrupt this hearing to go to the business meeting. So be patient with us for the nominees. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some opening remarks right here. And then what I'm going to do is turn to each of you to give us about 5 minutes of your thoughts on your nomination. And then at some point in time, like I said, we're going to take a break. Senator Shaheen may or may not want to make a statement when she does appear. So with that, let me welcome you all here today, and I want to recognize issues that each of you are going to be facing. And Mr. Rizzuto confirmed to be ambassador to the Organization of American States. A critical part of your job will be working to institute fair burden sharing across OAS member organizations. As is the case with so many of the international organizations that America is part of, the U.S. is taken advantage of at the OAS. In 2023, American taxpayers contributed a staggering 49.99%, essentially half, of the organization's budget. If the member states want to maintain an organization, all member states should support the organization. It's as simple as that. This is particularly important given the rising threats we face from Chinese malign influence in the Western Hemisphere. I look forward to hearing how you will work with the OAS to counter the influence and ensure fair contributions from all member states. Ms. Gingrich, as ambassador to Switzerland, you'll be working in a country that is famously neutral, but nonetheless a close partner of the United States. However, given the war in Ukraine, tensions in the Middle East, and a rising threat from China, we need all hands on deck to protect our shared values and common interests. Free nations must work together to preserve our way of life, and I know that you'll work with the Swiss to prepare for rapidly changing security environment that we're facing today. Mr. Howry, there's no doubt that Denmark is an important ally as we work to confront the security challenges in Europe. President Trump has made it clear that Greenland sits in a strategic location and is critical to U.S. and our ally security in the North Atlantic. It's also important that the U.S. work with Denmark to protect international shipping lanes from nefarious and irresponsible actors. I look forward to hearing how you will engage with all parties on these matters. Mr. Orr, America's strength has always been in our private sector, our businesses large and small. Our free markets have created an environment where business thrives and innovation and risk-taking are encouraged. America's economy indeed lifts the whole world. As Assistant Secretary for Economic and Business Affairs, you'll be charged with spreading this message and working with other nations to foster prosperous economies in their country that then also benefit the American economy. During our time today, I look forward to hearing how you will execute on President Trump's economic vision while at the State Department. Ms. Farcus, as you know, Malta is an ally and a European Union partner that is strategically located in the Mediterranean. It is important that we continue to work with Malta to continue our cooperation on regional security and countering illicit finance and money laundering. The U.S. has a vital role to play there, but we also need to see leaders at the European Union continue their efforts as well, especially on the question of Malta's Golden Passport program. I look forward to hearing how you'll work with your counterparts in Malta to advance these issues. These are big jobs, and you will be at the forefront of implementing the changes that will guide the next 4 years of American history. I'm grateful for your willingness to serve. We all are grateful for your willingness to serve also, and to serve and look forward to our conversation today. In a moment, when Senator Shaheen gets here, I know she's going to have some words of wisdom for you also. But at this moment, let's move to the nominees, and we'll give each of you 5 minutes, more or less, to talk about your thoughts on your nomination. And I think that if I'd ask that you hold it to 5 minutes. If you have additional thoughts on that, what we will do is put them in the record. If you'll submit them for the record, we'll be happy to put them in there. So with that, Mr. Orr, the floor is yours for 5 minutes, more or less, hopefully less. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Risch, Ranking Member Shaheen, and distinguished members of this committee, I'm honored to appear before you today as President Trump's nominee for Assistant Secretary of State for Economic and Business Affairs. I am immensely grateful to the President and Secretary Rubio for their trust and confidence. I also want to thank the members and staff of this committee for taking time to meet with me. As a former Senate staffer to then Senator Rubio, I understand firsthand the vital role this committee plays in shaping our foreign policy. If confirmed, I look forward to working closely with you in this role. On a personal note, I'd like to thank my wife Gabby and our daughters for their love and support. Gabby and our eldest Poppy are seated behind me, while Lily, our youngest, watches from home. I also want to thank my parents, Jim and Elaine, who along with many other family and friends are watching from the great state of Texas, the state my family has called home for 6 generations. I would not be here today without them. The greatest gift I've received from my family is a legacy of Christian faith. Above all, I thank God for his grace and provision. As an attorney and longtime economic policy advisor to Secretary Rubio, the intersection of economic policy and international affairs has been the focus of my career. For 7 years in the Senate, I had the privilege of serving under former Senator Rubio, helping build bipartisan consensus on confronting the economic and strategic challenges posed by China, and creating incentives for reshoring supply chains to the United States and nearshoring to the Western Hemisphere. As Deputy Staff Director of the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship, I worked with Congress, including several members of this committee, and the administration to create and implement the Paycheck Protection Program, which was a lifeline to millions of American businesses during the pandemic. And as an attorney in private practice, I litigated complex securities cases to enforce the laws that underpin our world-class capital markets. If confirmed, it would be a privilege to continue this work as Assistant Secretary, ensuring that our international economic policy first and foremost benefits America, American families, American workers, American businesses. Congress has tasked this position with responsibility to the Secretary for international economics and business matters in the conduct of foreign policy. These issues have been central to American foreign policy since our nation's founding. In George Washington's farewell address, our first president exhorted that, quote, extending our commercial relations must be part of the great rule of conduct for us in regard to foreign nations. From merchant ships establishing new diplomatic ties in the early republic to manufacturing and financial companies spanning the globe after World War II, throughout our history, American businesses have been leading ambassadors for U.S. interests abroad. The State Department's Bureau of Economic and Business Affairs plays an important role in facilitating our commercial statecraft by participating in the administration's international economic policymaking and advocating for American businesses through the department's missions around the world. If confirmed, my top 2 priorities as Assistant Secretary would be, first, advancing commercial diplomacy. The American private sector's innovation and dynamism are unmatched. Yet for decades, unfair trade practices and investment restrictions abroad have impeded our competitiveness. With President Trump's historic actions to bring about balanced and reciprocal trade, American companies stand poised to compete in global markets. Through exports and productive outbound and inbound investment, we can expand our influence, strengthen relations with key countries, and create high-wage jobs here at home. Second, using economic tools to protect national security. Our financial system, capital markets, and the dollar's status as reserve currency provide us with great leverage to advance our foreign policy interests. We must both protect and press these advantages. We must use tools such as sanctions and investment screening, strategically but to maximum effect. If confirmed, I look forward to bringing these tools to bear in support of U.S. foreign policy goals. Thank you for this opportunity. I welcome your questions, and if confirmed, look forward to advancing America's economic interests, both at home and abroad.
Well, thank you, Mr. Howry. I look forward to you getting over to the State Department. Marco's doing a great job, but he needs help over there. That's a big organization. So, Mr. Howry, the floor is yours.
Chairman Risch, Ranking Member Shaheen, distinguished members of the committee, it is an honor and a privilege to address the committee as President Trump's nominee to be the United States Ambassador to the Kingdom of Denmark. I thank President Trump and Secretary Rubio for the trust they have placed in me with this nomination. I also thank the outstanding professionals at the White House, the Department of State, our embassy in Denmark, our consulate in Greenland, for sharing their expertise and guidance. My family is here with me again today, including my parents, Karen and Ken, as well as my sister Christina and her daughter Emma, while others watch from home. I learned the importance of serving our nation and its values from my family. Both of my grandfathers served in World War II. Hubert Urich, who fought in Europe and North Africa as part of the larger Allied effort, which also liberated Denmark 80 years ago this month. And Fred Howry, who battled in the Pacific Theater. Both returned to a home they helped make safer and eventually raised their own families in Texas, where I grew up. I later moved to Silicon Valley, where I co-founded PayPal and then a venture capital fund. That fund supported hundreds of entrepreneurs whose companies have created over 100,000 jobs and trillions of dollars in value. We led investments in pioneering companies working in fields including aerospace, defense, AI, and biotechnology. In 2019, I left the private sector for public service, representing our country as the U.S. Ambassador to the Kingdom of Sweden. I worked with the excellent team at Embassy Stockholm to enhance our vital transatlantic partnership, countering China's influence, promoting President Trump's burden-sharing priorities, and paving the way for eventual NATO accession. We also advanced trade, investment, and Arctic defense collaboration. I look forward to building on our strong relationship with the Kingdom of Denmark, another close ally with many shared interests and values. I have long admired Denmark and have visited many times. Our bond traces back to 1636, when Danish immigrants first arrived in what is now New York. We have had uninterrupted diplomatic relations since 1801, and more than 1.2 million Americans proudly claim Danish heritage. We are at a consequential moment for our partnership, with the Kingdom making greater investments in defense and assuming key roles in international organizations, the UN Security Council, the presidency of the Council of the EU, and this month, the chair of the Arctic Council. If confirmed, in addition to the core priority of protecting American citizens, I will focus on three priorities across the Kingdom of Denmark: including Greenland and the Faroe Islands. The first will be our shared security. Denmark is a founding NATO member, and Danish troops, including their renowned special forces, served alongside our own in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, the Balkans, and the Baltics. We honor the bravery and sacrifice of those Danish soldiers, some of whom fell in combat. Denmark is a F-35 founding partner and will spend over 3% of its GDP on defense this year. The Faroe Islands are important for maritime security, and if confirmed, I will strengthen defense ties across the kingdom, ensure NATO interoperability, and address emerging threats. My second priority will be our economic relationship. The U.S. is Denmark's largest trading partner outside of Europe, and Danish firms have invested $40 billion here, supporting over 91,000 jobs. Denmark is a leader in life sciences, shipping, and quantum science, and I will seek to strengthen ties in technology, entrepreneurship, and scientific research. My third priority will be Arctic security, particularly in Greenland, drawing on my experience working on Arctic issues. Greenland has hosted our military installations since World War II, when we first assumed its defense at the request of Denmark's ambassador in exile. In 1951, we signed a permanent defense agreement, and our current P2FIC space base, the northernmost U.S. military base, opened in 1953. In 2020, we reopened our consulate in Nuuk. As Russia and China accelerate efforts to dominate the Arctic and as new sea lanes open, Greenland's geopolitical importance grows. While recent conversations about the appropriate U.S. role in Greenland's future have been spirited, I believe that through open dialogue and collaboration, we can find opportunities to advance our shared security and prosperity. These priorities, while complex, are areas where we can achieve meaningful progress in the coming years. My experience building global companies, advancing transatlantic partnerships, and prior service in the region has uniquely prepared me to represent the United States as ambassador to the Kingdom of Denmark. I will approach this responsibility with humility, and if confirmed, will work to serve the American people and strengthen the bilateral relationship. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before the committee. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Howry. Ms. Gingrich.
Senator Scott, thank you for that very kind introduction. Chairman Risch, Ranking Member Shaheen, and distinguished members of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, it is an honor to appear before you today as President Donald J. Trump's nominee to serve as the United States Ambassador to the Swiss Confederation and the Principality of Liechtenstein. I am deeply grateful for the trust and confidence the President has placed in me. I'm pleased to be joined today by my husband, Newt. We both hold this committee in the highest regard for its vital work in shaping U.S. foreign policy. If confirmed, I look forward to working closely with you and your staff. The United States enjoys strong, collaborative, and growing relationships with both Switzerland and Liechtenstein, built on shared democratic values, robust economic ties, and mutual respect. Switzerland is the sixth largest investor in the United States, with over $350 billion in investments, supporting nearly 500,000 American jobs. It is also the largest foreign source of research and development in the U.S., contributing nearly $15 billion annually. Swiss investors bring more capital to our economy than those from France and Italy combined. Switzerland also sends more visitors per capita to the U.S. than any other nation, strengthening our cultural bonds. More than 1,200 American companies operate in Switzerland, making the U.S. Switzerland's top foreign investor. Although our countries do not have a free trade agreement, we have signed numerous agreements to expand bilateral trade and economic cooperation. Switzerland has made important procurements to modernize its military, including a $6 billion procurement for 36 U.S. F-35 fighter jets and a $2 billion procurement for a U.S. Patriot air defense system, as part of its Air 2030 modernization program. We also deeply value Switzerland's long-standing role as our protecting power in Iran, a responsibility it has carried out since 1980. Our relationship with Liechtenstein, formally established in 1997, is also significant. Based on shared values, Liechtenstein is a reliable partner whose companies contribute to U.S. jobs and growth. The U.S. is both the top foreign investor in Liechtenstein and a major destination for its investment. These ties, economic, cultural, and diplomatic, are rooted in our shared commitment to democratic principles. If confirmed, I will work to strengthen these partnerships, expand economic opportunities, deepen bilateral investment and trade, and promote the values our nations share. I understand the weight of representing the President of the United States abroad. As a former U.S. ambassador to the Holy See, I bring the diplomatic experience, leadership, and perspective necessary for this role. I am also personally honored by this nomination, given my mother's Swiss heritage. As a former ambassador, business owner, author, and documentary film producer, I am humbled by the opportunity to serve my country once again. Mr. Chairman, Madam Ranking Member, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Ambassador. We'll turn now to Ms. Farcus.
Chairman Risch, Ranking Member Shaheen, and ladies and gentlemen of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you as President Donald J. Trump's nominee to be Ambassador to the Republic of Malta. Senator Scott, thank you for your kind words. I would like to thank President Trump and Secretary Rubio for their trust and confidence. I am humbled. I am also grateful to this committee for considering my nomination. If you allow me the privilege to serve America, I will count on our continued cooperation to advance President Trump's key America First priorities in the context of our shared fundamental commitment to making America safer, more secure, and more prosperous. Together, we will unleash her glorious destiny. I would like to acknowledge my devotion and faith in God, His Son, and Holy Spirit, who not only saved the life of our great President Trump, but who have also led me here today. Great love for my husband, Jonathan Farcus. His mother, Ruth Farcus, served as the American ambassador to Luxembourg. I would be honored to follow in her diplomatic footsteps. My sisters, Kellum and Karamine White, whose support I cherish. My father, Isaac Summers White, served our country in the Korean War, and my mother, Karamine Kellum, inspired me to lead a life of purpose and patriotism. I credit my Virginia upbringing and my mother for making me the woman I am, for it was she who taught me to leave my corner of the world better than I found it. It has been said there is no greater honor than to serve one's country. Recalling my mother's words, I maintain a strong involvement in public affairs and am active in philanthropy. I, too, have worked on programs and initiatives dedicated to veterans, law enforcement, and their families. I am especially grateful to President Trump for giving me the opportunity to serve on the President's Commission of White House Fellowships during his first term. This august committee knows well that Malta sits at a critical location between Northern Africa and Southern Europe. The Republic of Malta is a notable partner. Our bilateral relationship has deepened significantly on a range of priorities, ranging from fortifying security in the Mediterranean Sea to expanding economic and commercial ties across the continent. My experience as a businesswoman, strategist, and philanthropist will enable me to strengthen our valued relationship with this important archipelago. 3 priorities will guide my work. First and foremost, my priority will be to protect the safety and welfare of Americans living and visiting in Malta. If confirmed, I will also ensure the promotion of regional peace, security, and stability. Simply, Malta is integral to the European Union. It has played an important role in Europe. In 2024, Malta served as chair in office of the OSCE and as president of the UN Security Council in 2023. Also important, Malta is along the Mediterranean's principal shipping routes. 30% of the world's annual merchant shipping passes through near waters. America and Malta share a common interest in safeguarding fair, safe navigation. If confirmed, I will work to solidify our cooperation with Malta to advance our interests on regional security and multilateral issues. My second priority will be to promote prosperity, trade, and invigorate people's diplomacy, which is a phrase coined by Eugenie Anderson, America's first female ambassador. If confirmed, I will seek to identify common bilateral interests and foster cultural diplomacy. I will also work to increase economic ties with the goal of promoting opportunities in Malta for United States trade and investment, including in the energy sector. Malta has the potential to become a destination for American LNG exports. American expertise can play a fundamental role in diversifying and securing Malta's energy sector. President Trump has taken bold actions to make America and the world safe again. My third priority will be to counter transnational crime, bolster international law enforcement cooperation, and stem illegal migration. If confirmed, I will enhance our cooperation with Malta to counter nefarious activities, including illicit financing, smuggling, and sanctions evasion. Chairman Risch, Ranking Member Shaheen, and members, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Farcus. Mr. Rizzuto, if you'd sit tight for just a minute. I'm waiting for Senator Lee. When he gets here, we're going to have all members, all Republican members here. According to our rules, we're going to be able to vote. We will vote immediately, and I suspect we will lose some to the wind at that point, but we'll move on with this hearing as soon as we're done with the vote, which will take seconds probably. So visit amongst yourself, like they say at the airport. Don't leave the boarding area because we're going to go quickly.
Thank you.
Business meeting of Foreign Relations Committee will come to order. We have before us 5 nominees. Let the record reflect that every Republican member is present in the room. Democrats have all been previously notified, have indicated they have no interest in attending this meeting, so be it. The chair would entertain a motion to send Judd, Compass, Kushner, Walsh, and Papao to the floor of the United States Senate with a positive recommendation. Is there such a motion? Second. It has been moved. It has been seconded that we send those 5 to the floor. I'm told we need a roll call vote, so the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Ricketts? Aye. Mr. McCormick? Aye. Mr. Daines? Aye. Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Lee? Aye. Mr. Paul? Aye. Mr. Cruz? Aye. Mr. Scott? Aye. Mr. Curtis? Aye. Mr. Cornyn? Aye. Ms. Shaheen? Mr. Coons? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Payne? Mr. Berkeley? Mr. Booker? Mr. Schatz? Mr. Van Hollen? Ms. Duckworth? Ms. Rosen? Mr. Chairman.
Chairman votes aye. The vote is 12 in favor, which is a majority, and the motion has passed. And the business committee meeting will be adjourned, and we will return to the nominations hearing. I want to thank all of you for your cooperation in attending. So with that, Mr. Rizzuto, you're up.
Chairman Risch, Ranking Member Shaheen, distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am deeply honored by President Trump's nomination to serve as the United States Permanent Representative to the Organization of American States, OAS, and I appreciate the confidence placed in me by Secretary Rubio. Should I be confirmed, I would approach this role with a clear mission to advance American interest, defend our values, and ensure that our engagement in our hemisphere is strategic, accountable, and focused on achieving results for the American people. This is a moment that calls for clarity, not compromise. As Secretary Rubio has said, a stable and prosperous Western Hemisphere is crucial to advancing President Trump's strategic priorities. My extensive background as a business executive equips me to provide fresh perspectives that advance U.S. interests effectively and efficiently. From a young age, I started in our family business, Conair Corporation, and achieved immense success leading and directing global operations, securing growth in over 125 countries, and overseeing the manufacturing of over 100 million appliances per year. I personally led efforts in securing and receiving a grant of over 25 U.S. patents. Throughout my career, I engaged with industry associations, ultimately being elected as chairman of the Professional Beauty Association by my peers and competitors. My commitment to not accepting the status quo, my extensive business background, and my focus on family and community underpin my dedication to the mission that potentially awaits me at the OAS if confirmed. I was honored to serve my country as U.S. Consul General in Bermuda. I tackled significant challenges such as the suspension of U.S. mail when the COVID-19 pandemic halted American airline flights. By collaborating with my staff in the State Department and colleagues at the U.S. Postal Service, we restored mail services to Bermuda and 13 other countries within my first 3 weeks of arriving. The impact of this accomplishment was underscored by the tragic death of a local resident who died while waiting for their medication. When my term ended, Premier Burt and 3 former premiers each invited my wife and I to their homes to say thank you for the job done. Indeed, having been married for 38 years and raising 3 lovely daughters is a testament to my belief in the institution of marriage, love of family, and country. We proudly consider ourselves patriotic Americans. With that moral clarity, I see in our region the consequences of failed leadership and unchecked authoritarianism. From the collapse of governance in Haiti to the totalitarian regimes in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba, these conditions fuel immigration, stymie economic progress, and threaten the security and sovereignty of the United States and our neighbors. We must continue to hold autocrats accountable and remain resolute in our commitment to support those who risk their lives to defend freedom and democracy. Secretary Rubio's nomination of Rosa Maria Paya to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, for example, reflects that commitment. If confirmed, I will further support these efforts by focusing on 4 priorities. First, securing borders and stabilizing the region. OAS member states must respect each other's sovereignty. If confirmed, I will prioritize efforts to foster border enforcement among member countries. As affirmed in the OAS Charter and the Inter-American Democratic Charter, the rule of law and the effective territorial control are fundamental pillars for peace, security, and democratic stability across our hemisphere. Second, trade. There is a great opportunity to leverage the OAS as a platform to promote trade. The benefits would bring economic prosperity, resulting in the reduction of illegal immigration. Increasing trade with member countries would be a win for these nations and our hemisphere. Third, the CCP continues to advance interests through strategic loans and investments and the influence in international institutions. We must promote U.S. investments in our region as a better alternative and expose CCP manipulation with the multilateral systems and OAS members. And finally, refocusing the OAS to deliver the results. With bipartisan support from this committee and member states, I will work to reduce bureaucracy and push for needed reforms and ensure that our funding aligns with U.S. interests. If confirmed, I will support our priorities, the OAS General Assembly in June, and the Summit of the Americas in December. Mr. Chairman, ranking members of the committee, our engagement in the Americas must reflect who we are, a nation of laws, strength, and liberty. I believe deeply in the promise of the inter-American system, but only if we insist that it lives up to its core mission and purpose. Given the opportunity, I will work to protect American citizens, promote democratic values, and ensure that our leadership at OAS is worthy of the people we serve. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you, and I look forward to your questions.
To give you our sincere appreciation for serving. Ordinarily, what we do is we move to a round of questions at this point, but I'm told that everybody's got other things going on, so you're going to be spared that. However, having said that, we're going to leave the record open until tomorrow at close of business, 5 p.m., in which case the members can submit a written question to you if they wish. If you get one of those, I'd ask you to respond as quickly as you can so we can move your nominations as quickly as we can. So again, thank you to you. Thank you for your families. We will move the president's agenda here, which includes your nominations as quickly as we can. I apologize for the bit of chaos this morning, but there's lots of moving parts up here, as you know, and that's just the way it is. But that's good news for you because sometimes these can get a little testy, but obviously that won't happen this morning. So with that, again, thanks to the committee, thanks to the President of the United States and the people of America for your willingness to serve. And with that, the committee will be adjourned.